Hey, come right on in. This is Homekeepers. So glad to be here. So glad you're there. Boy, this is great. And I hope that if you're a brand new viewer, you'll hang around with us and join us again. Everybody is so welcome. A show that really is interested in homekeeping. I often think of the term the gatekeeper. There's somebody there watching over things, and that is very, very important to the stability of the family, and as the family, so goes the nation. There's just no question about that. So welcome one and all. I think that we do approach the subjects that you are interested in, and today is no different. We're going to be talking about graduation because Stephanie has a daughter graduating, I have a grandson graduating, and we're going to make chocolate graduation caps. Remember those caps? I thought it was so great to have on my graduating gown and the cap and all. And it's a very exciting time for the young people who are experiencing it. So I hope you'll make a big deal out of it, like we are trying to. And of course, to make it totally in order, we've got Heide Janshon back, and she is keeping us in touch with things going on in our school. We talk a lot about Common Core, and I want to warn you today, we're both mad. Bible says, be ye angry and sin not. So I'm very angry. I don't think I've sinned yet. But dealing with what's going on in our schools, and friends, you need to be informed. I don't care if you're grandmother, aunt, uncle, whoever, you need to know what's going on. This is from Franklin Graham talking about the plan by the Fairfax County Public Schools in Virginia, one of the largest school systems in the nation, how they want to implement a transgender policy, and they have a new term now. It's called gender fluidity, which basically is saying there's really not boys, there's not girls, we're kind of all the same, and surely you can see what kind of a path this is leading us on. And so Heidi really stays abreast of all these things, and we're going to try to bring you some good information and that you can use it and do something with it. Before I join Stephanie, I'm again offering you the book by David and Kathy Walker, Israel and the Middle East. And they specifically wrote this book for people like me to understand. Have you ever seen those books, you know, Computer for Dummies, and it's got the word dummies very prominent. I wouldn't say this about the book, but it's for people to really be able to understand it. I appreciate it. And for that gift of $23, we will send it to you. If you'd like to use your credit card, that number's on your screen. It's an 800 number, 1-800-229-0059. And also, you can write to us at Homekeepers, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida, 33758, and we will get that out to you for that gift of $23. I think this is an important thing you ought to have in your home, and put it on your coffee table and go through it once in a while and give you understanding of what's going on in this most volatile part of the world. And I've joined Stephanie over here. You got a girl graduating?
I do.
Do you remember when you graduated?
I do.
Oh, man.
Because I graduated like on a Wednesday, and we moved to Florida like on Thursday.
Yep. We are twins. That's what happened to me. I graduated in Colorado, and the next day we moved to Missouri.
Like we were packed up, ready to go.
Did you cry
They
a
were
lot?
just waiting.
I cried at my
I don't remember
graduation.
crying.
Yeah, I cried.
I'll cry at her graduation, but I don't remember crying at mine.
Well, of course, we've got pictures.
Oh, of course. So I have a picture, but we just had prom.
Yes.
So
we got
let's
a picture
see.
of Alexis and her
beau.
What a gorgeous couple. Oh, my word. I love her dress.
Isn't
Where'd
that
you
beautiful?
get that?
At Cece's Boutique.
Oh, it's just
Yeah, it
gorgeous.
wasn't a Ross special. That's what.
Well, she can wear that if she gets married. So.
Yeah, right.
And
then I have one more. I have one more picture.
Okay.
Yeah, and there we are. We're there. We were down by the pier. Yes.
There's Florida, folks. That's a typical Florida sky right there.
And then you have a picture.
I have a picture of my grandson, and these are young people both graduating from high school. Samuel Donald
Look at that.
Hoffman. He's named after my husband, and he's graduating. I think absolute straight A's. He never seemed to have to crack a book.
Is that crazy?
And he's a wonderful. He's the one who bought my car.
Yes.
And he's paid it off.
Wow.
Paid Grandma.
Wow.
Every penny. Good Christian boy. Love Sam. And so we're celebrating. Everything's about education today. And we do need to get a close-up of this is what we're making.
Yeah, we're going to make little graduation hats
Aren't
out
they
of
so
candy.
cute?
Now, the key to this is having the right stuff, okay? Because this has a really big tip on it, okay? What you really want is you want the one with the little tiny tip, but not the gel.
Yeah.
You want
And
just the
I couldn't
regular
find it.
frosting. So,
And these are the Reese's
yeah, all we have are the
miniatures.
miniature Reese's cups.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we have Ghirardelli squares, yummy. We have big and little ones. We have M&Ms, and then we have the icing. Okay,
And so she's going to make you a couple.
yeah, all you do is you take the.
That's the glue.
This is the glue that binds. Yes. Okay. And we're just gonna
There's a
put
big
that
one.
in upside down. We'll do
There's
a
a
little
little one.
one. Now, in my younger years, like when I was first married, I probably would have made hundreds of these for the graduation party, but someone had said, "Are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so." But just to do, if you're ever having a small
Can
graduation
you imagine
party.
how fast high school
And then I
kids
would
could
just
scarf
cry.
these
Yeah.
down?
Okay, so we just did that, and then we're just gonna put a little dollop on there. We're gonna put an M&M on top.
I bet if you had a friend, you could get a kind of an
Oh
assembly
yeah.
line going.
You know what else I was thinking? I might get the red licorice vines, and I might
work?
use that for the tassel. Yeah,
That
it would be
would probably work.
because the worst part of this whole project was trying
the
to make
tassel,
tassels.
yeah.
Here's the best one I made right there. It actually had a loop on it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's.
Yeah. Okay,
So now we'll watch her put a tassel.
yeah,
on.
watch me shake as I put a tassel on because this stuff comes out so fast.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna let's see here. Okay, ready? Here we go. Oh, my
Everybody's
goodness.
holding their breath.
I
in
know.
the
Look at
studio.
that. There's a tassel.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. All right, let's do one on the little one.
Okay.
But this is.
It's super easy. It's lots of fun.
They are cute. You know, if you had friends, you could do a little, just line them up.
Yeah,
get
but
it
like
done.
I said, I might do the red vines, or you
Would
can
that
find
work?
something that's going to be a lot easier and look better than the mess I'm
Well,
making.
because that's the only slowdown. You can assemble these
Oh, you
so
could do
fast.
hundreds of these without the tassel.
And
Just figure out
are
something
really
better for the
cute
tassel.
and graduation special.
And don't eat them all while you're making it, because I made all these. I did not have one bite of chocolate. I was so proud of myself.
Yeah,
but I'm
we-
not saying now I'm not taking these up to my office.
We believe you.
Stop.
Okay, if you want the directions to this, we'll send them to you. Email, that's a good way to do it.
All for free.
Or if you don't email, write to us. It won't cost you anything, but something that can bring a smile and a joy to your little graduation party, make it really special. Stay with me. If you haven't met Heidi, you got to meet her.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, just write to the address on your screen, or you can email your request to arthelene@rippy.org.
All right, if you have not met Heide Janshon before, she comes on Homekeepers once a month to kind of tell us what's going on, especially with Common Core. I'm sure that you're hearing more and more about it as the political system times for the next president heating up. This comes up in almost every conversation with a potential candidate. So welcome back.
Thank you.
And we've got new viewers, so I want to tell how you got started on this. The reason I like Heidi for this is because she's a parent. She's not a teacher. She's not somebody with any axe to grind at all, except she has 2 children.
That's right. That's right. So I have a 10-year-old son who is going to be 11 in a couple of weeks. Oh my goodness. But when he was in 4th grade, which was just last year, he brought home some math homework and he couldn't do it. And he's a genius in math. And
Yeah, and you both have very high IQs, I might say. So you indicated to him, well, here, I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah, I'll
he
show
said,
you.
no, we can't do it that way.
He said, no, we have to use the strategies that are taught to us. And I said, well, where are these strategies? He said, I can't remember them. They're in school. I said, great. Where's my parent guide to help me teach you at home so you're not stumped? And that led to a boatload of questions, and I was stonewalled, to put it nicely, and then eventually escalated up to our superintendent and then to the Department of Education, and I'm still communicating with them.
Yes, and as Heidi explained it to me, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen to try to do something as simple as 15 minus 9, and you couldn't figure it out. You're quite intelligent, and one thing led to another, to the point that I felt that she needed to, because she's staying on top of this. Now, you kept your kids out of the tests. What's happened because of that?
Okay, let's talk testing. So there is this catchphrase out there called opt-out, which legally nobody is permitted, based on the Florida statutes, to opt their children out of a test. Like, you can't just keep them home and then not have them test for the Florida Standards Assessment and these end of course exams. But to opt out by participating is that your child actually shows up, breaks the seal on a paper-based test, and doesn't answer any questions. On a computer-based test, they have to log in and then hit the space bar or hit submit, and without answering any questions. And so I made 20 trips to our front office, to our elementary school, to pick up my children after they sat there for 15 minutes to hear the instructions, to break the seal, to do what they needed to do. So I picked them up so they wouldn't have to sit there and stare for 90 minutes.
Did other children do that?
Not at our school.
Now, what's the penalty?
Well, for third graders, my daughter's in third grade, and I will say that, because what they're going to get is a no score. So say, for instance, your child went to school, got sick on their exam, and had to be excused and went to the nurse. Well, they can't re-access that same exam. The exam is invalidated. They get a no score. So my premise is, same thing, my kids showed up, they broke the seal, and they left.
Does it affect their grade?
No.
Now, see, that's weird.
So third graders, now get this, okay. We have a new bill. It was the only education bill that passed.
This is statewide for Florida.
Statewide for Florida. It's Senate Bill 7069. If our viewers are not familiar with it, I would highly suggest they do some Googling on it. Because in that bill, what the legislators decided all, in their legislation, in their committee meeting, the senators and the House decided and said, like, you could hear them, you can still go back and view the tape. We can all agree that we don't believe that the Florida Standards Assessment is a valid exam.
And this is the one you opted out of?
Yes. So what they decided...
You're making me crazy.
But 2.7 million children have been tested on the Florida Standards Assessment. They took a test that has yet to be validated. So now over the summer, the Senate decided we are going to spend more money, a committee to validate or to invalidate the Florida Standards Assessment. And until that validation is complete, the scores cannot be used. They're frozen until September. So when do kids graduate, and when is the end of school? In June? So the end of course exams is what they're going through right now. Is 30% of a child's grade of those in middle school and high school who are taking the end of course exams that are state mandated, 30% of their final grade is supposed to be this exam, of which the scores are not going to be available until September. So how can you factor in 30% of nothing? Now, what they did it's like one Band-Aid after another. The state has never come and apologized and said, we did this too fast, this really wasn't the right process, we need to back out of it, we need to go to Rick Scott and say, please issue
our governor,
issue an executive order to stop testing and to put a halt on this right now. They are barreling through it.
And as we talk about this, it's going on in all the states on some level. It's called Common Core, And educators did not put it together.
No. Well, they will tell you that they did, but they had a small percentage.
Well, what I read was that after they decided on it, they brought in a couple of teachers or somebody to validate it.
Right.
Also, I have learned, let me see if I can find it, that there is a link to Islam, that there's money flowing into this, and that could be the reason that you see so much of this cropping up in the schools. Now, I read and saw pictures of girls who had to wear a headscarf to school because they're studying Islam. Islam is being studied in our schools where Christianity is absolutely barred. You're not supposed to have a Bible on your desk. And you know, when you hear about these things, I wonder what our viewers are thinking.
Well.
Now, Franklin Graham is saying, at the top of the show, I told you about how they're trying to teach at a young level that there's no difference between boys and girls, and they call it gender fluidity. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. However, it's very, very, very serious. And he says you need to know, and this is where Christians should really get a whipping, who's running for office and what they believe, and get some Christians in our state houses and in our White House and in the Congress and in the Senate.
Yeah.
I blame it on the Christians. I'm sorry.
I will say very seriously, Arthelene, parents cannot afford to just sit back. Constituents, citizens, grandparents, nobody. If you're a citizen of this country, you do not have a right to sit back and let somebody else vote somebody. You need to be proactive, especially Christians. I urge them to be involved.
Yeah, and for fear that we sound like we're all over the map, we are, because there's so much happening. And there was I wish I could tell you. You would know his name if I could pull it up. But he's at the top of this Common Core thing saying that that they ought to have your children 24/7.
Oh, Arnie Duncan.
Arnie Duncan.
Yeah, yes, he is at the top.
Wants
He's our
the children
Secretary of
around the clock so they can really indoctrinate. In other words, the government can do a whole lot better job than parents can do. These things are happening.
He also said that he felt that a school should be the center of a community that is open 24/7 so that people can have a safe haven. But what they're not addressing are the social issues that lead to all these problems.
From what I understand, schools are not that much of a safe haven. In some of these cities, the teachers, just survival is the point.
We're not just talking some of these cities. We're talking up the road where I live. We're talking Holiday, Florida, and even in Trinity. We've got drugs very active in middle school and high school. There's a middle school in Pasco County that I know of, that I have a friend whose daughter goes there, and she says you can get any drug in the restroom that you want. What are they doing about that?
I know, and so we're trying to put a spotlight on these things. Now, another thing I think, Heidi, that has affected the church is the don't offend people, be politically correct. I'm sorry, I'm not one bit worried about offending anybody. Righteousness will always offend the unrighteous. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
So it's time for parents, teachers, Christians, push back like you're doing, basically.
I had somebody tell me this week that when I challenged them on the gender issue, I said, we need to leave that outside of the school. We need to teach anatomy, and that's it. Why do we need to touch on gender? I said, that is a lifestyle choice. And she challenged me on it, and I said, well, okay, we're just going to have to agree to disagree, because that's a belief system that I have.
Yeah, I think sex should absolutely be taught at home. It has no place in the classroom, and I'll probably hear about that too. Now, the No Child Left Behind, what I read is it's been a dismal failure. And the 46 states that adopted it, some have already opted out of it, all expect a decline in grades. Now, haven't they warned parents, okay, your kid's not going to get a good grade this year. It's not going to be as good as in the past. Why?
They're calling it a baseline, but they weren't calling it a baseline, especially in Florida. Now, today, in the Board of Education meeting this morning, they said, well, it's to be expected that we're going to be seeing these issues with testing because this is a baseline year. I'm like, you know what? We asked for this to be a baseline year with no high stakes attached to the testing so that the children would not be penalized in those grades that it's detrimental to them, or that the teachers' evaluations would not be penalized. But now, at the end of the year, they're calling it a baseline test.
Yes, if you just tuned in, I'm talking to Heide Janshon. She comes on here every month. And there's a website up there. It's actually a
Facebook group.
A Facebook group, and she will really keep you informed. I don't know. I don't know who's really addressing these things, and that's why, as the presidential election is heating up, listen very carefully, because I hear some of the candidates, and otherwise to me I kind of like them, they're good, but they'll throw this Common Core like, oh, you know, that's nothing, that's a state thing. It's not a state thing.
No, it's not.
It's a federal thing.
It is, and even Gus Spilarakis, who's our representative, he said, oh, Common Core is a great thing, we just, I'm like, no, it's not. Do you have children in school? And he wouldn't even.
Do they know what it is?
They don't.
I mean, you cannot forget where Nancy Pelosi one side said we need to get this bill passed so we can read it. Now, I don't know what is stupider than that. That's got to be the most stupid statement in at least the past decade. And so I'm wondering how many of the politicians even know what Common Core is and how it's messed up math, how it's messed up civics and American history.
Well, I can tell you one thing. For the younger grades, it's not age appropriate. It requires and demands that a child be able to reason beyond their brain development. As they get into the older grades, then it tapers off and it doesn't challenge them enough. But what we have, the problem that we have is it doesn't do anything for your special needs children. There's nothing built into the Common Core standards for that, and nothing for the gifted children. So enrichment for gifted children is strictly up to the teacher, and if they want to give these special needs children any more help, plus they've done away with most of the ESE teachers, which is those teachers that are helping these special needs children. So if you're not a parent who is actively, proactively involved on both ends of the spectrum, and then the kids in the middle get lost in all of these strategies, and especially math for fourth graders. So if there are any parents out there who have fourth graders coming up, be on top of it.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes left. I want you to repeat something that you just now said, though. The age appropriateness, because Heidi had this 10-year-old son, almost 11, came home crying, frustrated. I've seen other children do that on the internet. I've watched it, where kids, they're little children, are crying and frustrated. I never did that over math, ever. We were kind of taught line upon line. So repeat the part again about it's got to be appropriate to the age.
What they're doing to the younger grades is that they're demanding that they meet expectations that their brain is not developed enough to comprehend or to reason up to those
And that's
standards.
what happened when you offered to help your son with his homework.
He just hit a wall on those strategies. It was too confusing.
And so did you.
Yeah.
That's what's so sad. And that's what is so absolutely sad. I got this information. 135 members of official Common Core review panels, few were educators, no parents. Some K through 12 educators were brought in after the fact to lend legitimacy to the results.
Yeah.
This is wicked.
Yeah. How many parents do you think we have in the state of Florida if we have 2.5 million children in school?
Well, we got twice that many.
Our Commissioner of Education will say, well, when we presented the Common Core state standards, we got 10,000 responses from parents. And I'm like, 10,000 out of 5 million. Let me think. Was that a good ratio?
Yeah, and I even question that, to be honest. Well, actually, I think it's a good idea to really question things in a democracy, and maybe we just don't question enough. You know, we really are running out of time. I want to assure you that Heidi will be back next month. We're going to stay on top of this all-important subject. We're talking about our children, friends. Is there really anything more important than that? And I think it's just as important that we who can kind of have a handle on this type of thing let you know about it. Now stay with me. Have a couple things to say before we have to say goodbye.
Arthelene would like you to keep the following information handy. You may contact Homekeepers by writing to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758, or go to www.rippy.org. Remember, we always enjoy hearing from our viewers, and we thank you for your support.
Okay, I again want to remind you that we're offering you the book Israel and the Middle East. We've offered it many times, but people keep ordering it, so as long as we have some, we'll make them available to you. And you can use your credit card by calling 1-800-229-0059. And the address is on your screen if you want to write to us. And I think it's important to know what's going on. The Bible says the sons of Issachar understood the times, and the times are telling us that it's really happening in the Middle East today. You know, a new school teacher made some interesting observations as she began a career in public education, and she remarked, "Let me see if I've got this right. You want me to go into that room with all those kids, correct their disruptive behavior, observe them for signs of abuse, monitor their dress habits, censor their T-shirt messages, and instill in them a love for learning. You want me to check their backpacks for weapons, wage war on drugs and sexually transmitted diseases, and raise their self-esteem and personal pride. You want me to teach them patriotism and good citizenship, sportsmanship and fair play, and how to register to vote, balance a checkbook, apply for a job, and you want me to check their heads for lice, recognize signs of antisocial behavior, and make sure they pass all the final exams. You also want me to provide them with an equal education regardless of their handicaps, and also communicate regularly with their parents in English, Spanish, or any other language by letter, telephone, newsletter, and report card. You want me to do all this with a piece of chalk, a blackboard, a bulletin board, a few books, a big smile, and a starting salary that qualifies me for food stamps. You want me to do all this, and then you tell me that I can't pray? Wow, that teacher gives us food for thought. I have no doubt that our American schools host a significant number of teachers who pray for guidance every single day. Perhaps another important question would be, are we praying for our teachers? Think about it, please. And remember, friend, there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.